जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदनंदन जय व्रज जन रंजना जय व्रज जन रंजना जय यशोदनंदन जय व्रज जन रंजना जय व्रज जन रंजना जय यमुनतीरवनचारी जय कुंज विहारी 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 जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज विहारी। जय श्री राधा माधव की जय। श्री ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंद हरि 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 बोल। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपादकमलं श्रीगुरो वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam angulam prayate girim yatrapathamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Shri Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Mahavishnu Goswami Nityaname. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityaname. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna Prabhuji Sanmataji Dandavat Pranam. So nice to see you all. I hope you all had a good week last week. So this week, in this today's session, we will continue from where we left last week. So one second, let me just. Taking out the PPT. So before we start, did anybody have any specific questions on what we discussed so far? Any specific questions or anything that you expect apart from what we have been set as an agenda? Originally, when we started off. I think probably everybody is muted, so maybe we can let devotees, unmute and speak, or
yeah, if anybody
speak. So any questions, anything before we start for today's session? Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes, thank you, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji, we can see.
So we just a quick recap. We did, we did this, do's and don'ts to study Srila Prabhupada's books towards the end of our session last week. Like how these three things, PHT, we have to remember, like we have to be patient, peaceful and prayerful, humble and submissive, determined and dedicated to read Prabhupada's books. And then the four things which we should avoid are, we should not forgive ourselves that we have, oh, it's okay, we have not been able to do. Just one sec. So can you mute please? Can you be on silent? I want to hear the song. This will be best. So don'ts we have for this thing, for forgiving yourself, for not able to do our stipulated study. Then the next thing is avoiding. Sometimes we avoid certain sections or certain things which we don't appreciate it or whatever, we are not able to understand, things like that. Then we also take it for granted, impudence. And then the fourth thing is lazy, lackluster. So that is important to, we should not be lazy in doing our study, I think, whatever we are supposed to study on the day for the day's quota. So this is we went through last week towards the end, and then the 10 points which we studied, which we went through also, that we have to, systematically study, not just read from anywhere and everywhere. And another thing is, like, we should not skip anything, and then we should do slowly and patiently. Then we should ask questions like why we are doing certain things, what is the purpose behind the question, and so on. then we should introspect. We are not. It's not that we are doing it only to tell others, but it's the. I mean, it's not that we do it only for others, preaching to others, but it is for our own selves. So that is always look for what we can get from. I can get from the purport. Then the next thing is like we have to picturize the situation whenever some discussion happens or some incident happens. Mentally, we have to get into that scene. That will help us understand the content better, Prabhupada's explanations better. Then the next thing that we said was that, again, the same point, like we should not be merciful to ourselves. Okay, you are tired, don't worry, and things like that. It should be hard. Depending completely on His mercy is another important point. We will get to that just after this slide. It's one of the most beautiful purports, which it's very important for our devotional service, and specifically when we meditate or study Srila Prabhupada's books. There's the sadhana of studying Srila Prabhupada's books. Then always we said that we have a notebook and a pen. Some of the devotees had asked for some tips for how to take notes. I mean, it's not like a rocket science, but whatever I could gather, some of those we will discuss that time permits today. And then again, this is important point. Like we are only reading to relish Prabhupada's books, not to prove some point to someone that whether we are some scholars or whether what I mean, we have the answers for their questions. Nothing like that. It's about just sharing Krishna, giving what we have in terms of realizations, whatever little bhakti we have. So that's pretty much the thing. So moving on further, especially the point number 8, depending completely on His mercy for understanding the realization. This is very important because many times devotees, even myself, I mean devotees, when I say include myself, that we say that, oh, I am studying Prabhupada's books, but I'm not getting any realizations. What do I do in such a situation? It's very important for us to understand that this is not like an ordinary book. It is a book which can, which is, we have to become servants of this book, not master of this book. And it's not something that which we can master by our own efforts. So there is a beautiful purport in this particular this particular verse 1619. We will go to get to that. Sharing. Prabhu's and Mataji's, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, thanks. So let's go to the next slide. It talks about that specific thing of how do we understand I mean the concept of the realization. So I would like someone to read this purport, this text. Highlighted words are in they are emphasized, but somebody can read it slowly and unmute and read it slowly.
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Please, Mataji.
Srimad Bhagavatam 1619 purport, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. There is no mechanical process to see the form of the Lord. It completely depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. We cannot demand the Lord to be present before our vision, just as we cannot demand the sun to rise whenever we like. The sun rises out of his own accord. So also the Lord is pleased to be present out of his causeless mercy. One should simply await the opportune moment and go on discharging his prescribed duty in devotional service of the Lord. Narada Muni thought that the Lord could be seen again by the same mechanical process, which was successful in the first attempt. But in spite of his utmost endeavor, he could not make the second attempt successful. The Lord is completely independent of all obligations. He can simply be bound up by the tie of unalloyed devotion. Nor is he visible or perceivable by our material senses. When he pleases, being satisfied with the sincere attempt of devotional service, depending completely on the mercy of the Lord, then he may be seen out of his own accord.
This pretty much sums up any service, any type of service. More so when we meditate on the Supreme Lord in the form of a sound vibration, and especially through Prabhupada's Vani, Srila Prabhupada's books. So the point here is very important. The things like we many times we say that, okay, we have a method. The methods are there to help us, they assist us. But the sincere endeavor comes from us. How much our endeavor we are putting in, that is the reciprocation. But this endeavor is not directly proportional to the mercy. In other words, just because I am endeavoring, it is not that the Lord is bound to give us mercy. It's not that way. But on his own accord, that's what the words, may be seen out of his own accord. So the seeing Krishna and the realizations that devotees get is both are same. Like when we read Prabhupada's books and we are getting some realization, that is actually Krishna. It's interesting. Many times when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to give classes, and many of his brahmacharis will be around, and Prabhupada also used to attend. One of the devotees told this, that senior sannyasi told me this, that when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to speak, the devotees sometimes they would write notes, and sometimes they would be looking at him, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada would say that, see, write down this point. This is Krishna, catch him. I mean, it's very important to understand how much he is seeing. The acharyas are seeing Krishna in these realizations. For us also, when we get some realization, we feel very happy, isn't it? And we like to go and share it with someone. Same thing. It's because the realizations are Krishna, and those realizations, they appear out of their own accord. I mean, and just like Krishna appears of his own accord. So, but the thing is, what forces Krishna to appear on his own accord? When Krishna is satisfied by our sincere attempt. That's the most important thing, Prabhupada and Mataji. When we are sincerely attempting ourselves, then Krishna will reveal himself in the form of his ideas, realizations, understanding, whatever. This is the crux by which, it's the foundation based on which we have to build our, what do you call, our study, build our study process, the interest of studies. And the important point here, couple of important points, more important points to know here is this, simply await the opportune moment. So this does not mean that we just sit silently, idle, not doing anything. That's why Prabhupada says, go on discharging his prescribed duty in devotional service. That's very important, because what is a prescribed duty? Our chanting, studying, serving, sharing our things with devotees. This is all this prescribed duty. We can't say that, oh, I am not getting realizations like that devotee. I'm not able to speak like that devotee. We can't compare. Like we saw one of the earlier sessions, this inspiration and imitation, right? So it is very important for us to understand this particular point, that we should wait, simply await kalam pratikshan. That's what Narad Muni did. Kalam pratikshan, yamado vimatsara. He was waiting for the time when he would get to meet his death. But during that time, he was not sitting idle. That waiting time, our spiritual master used to say that waiting time is your preaching time. When you are waiting to see Krishna, at the end of our life, till that time, we see Krishna through our preaching and our sadhana. And that is the discharging of our prescribed duty. Krishna will be, that's why Narad Muni was not at all despondent when Krishna said, you are not going to see me again anymore. He said, no, I will see you through preaching, I will see you through chanting your holy names, I will see you through singing your glories and sharing your glories to everyone else. So this is the main point we have to understand. I mean, very first time when I was studying Bhagavatam many years ago, whenever I used to sit and read, when I was in the US, I used to go from home to office. So it's a 30-minute ride. So as soon as I get into the bus, I will open the book and I will start reading. So it won't even feel like I've gone through 30 minutes and just few pages I would read. And some nice realizations would come that, many times I would just walk that 4 or 5 miles of distance, taking the book, carrying the book in my hand through some trails. It was one of the pleasant days of my life. There won't be anybody, so you just go through the parks or the empty roads and just keep reading the book. So I get a lot of nice, interesting thoughts and realizations. I was feeling very happy about it. But suddenly one fine day, I was reading and reading, nothing was coming. I was just reading. I was just wondering why suddenly today, what happened? Then when I read through this purport, I realized that not getting a realization is also a realization. Because when we don't get any realizations, we will become humble. We will feel vimado vimatsaraha. We will feel that we are not enforcing Krishna to come, but whenever he wants, he will come. So he's not obliged for my devotional service. And then I see that my devotional service is actually nothing. It's like giving a rotten lemon and asking for a palace in return, gorgeous palace in return. How would you get it? But Krishna will give it, provided he is satisfied with our humble attempt, our sincere endeavor. And that is why going on discharging our prescribed duty in devotional service is a very, very important point, Prabhus and Matajis. Because we may chant, we may not get sometimes our rounds may be distracted, sometimes our reading may be distracted, but we don't give up on this process itself. We only try to rectify and refine the way we study and the way we chant. Any questions or realizations here, Prabhus and Matajis? Reflections, any thoughts? Before we move further. Yes, Mataji, I think two of you have started. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Thank you. The other Mataji, I think she can go first if she likes.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Lalita Priti Mat.
Yes, Mataji, Lalita Mataji, yes.
Just I was thinking just like learning to ride the bike. We just go on the bike few times and then you don't automatically can ride the bike.
Sorry, I'm not getting your point clearly, Mataji. Sorry.
Just the go on discharging the prescribed duty. I'm just thinking when we were little, learning to ride the bicycle.
Yes, yes. How we do that? We may not come the first time, second time, but eventually we get it, isn't it? So that's the thing. But this determination to hold on, sticking on to the process, irrespective of whatever the results may be, is very important, Mataji. Some days it may not, some days it may give, but the thing is, the process is there, Prabhupada's books are there, and it's just a matter of, see, that's why when the last line is very important. When he pleases, being satisfied with the sincere attempt of the devotional service, depending completely on the mercy of the Lord, then he may be seen out of his own accord. See, in this entire statement, he pleases, he may be seen his own accord. Everything is his. The only thing that we can do is satisfy him with our sincere attempt of devotional service. And how do we do the devotional service? Depending completely on his mercy. When we do that way, depending completely on his mercy, then the Lord will be pleased with us. He'll be satisfied with us, and then he will reveal himself to us. That is why these are called revealed scriptures. Revelations, we call it. And in realization also, our spiritual master used to say nicely that the word real is there. That real word indicates Krishna. Because in this world, he is the only real thing. Everything else is false, temporary, false, and transient, isn't it? So whenever we talk about realization, we don't say, I got a realization. We say, Krishna gave me a realization. Or, Krishna gave us a realization. Today, like that we say, isn't it? When we say, I got a realization, it seems like I had done something significant to get that realization, but it's not so. Krishna is giving us the realizations. So very good point, Mataji, regarding the discharging the prescribed duty. And that's the important point, whether it's not only our study of Prabhupada's books, our prescribed duties in terms of whatever varna and ashrama we are in, and responsibilities that which we take up. So these are things which we have to really, we have to really focus ourselves on this. When we do our prescribed duties, Swadharma Acharanam Shaktya, Vidharmacha Nivartanam, not doing that which is not prescribed for us. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says the same thing, right? Sahajam karma kaunteya swabhava. He says Sahajam karma kaunteya. Whatever is born with you, just do it. So we have to keep doing that. So that's one point. Anybody else has any thoughts? I think Hare Krishna Mataji also wanted to say something.
Yes, Prabhuji. I wanted to return to the point you raised about depending completely on the Lord's mercy. And in the purport here, so is that equivalent to surrender? Can we, is this here Sharanagati?
Perfectly, yes, it is pretty much Sharanagati, because we raise our hands and say, Krishna, you have to take over. I'm not able to understand this. Whenever you feel, or if you think I am qualified, give me the understanding, give me the realizations. So it's all about pleasing the Lord by our sincere endeavor, and then He will give whatever to our levels. Like last, I think, couple of sessions ago, we saw that, right? When we did this thing about inspiration and imitation, that shloka where birds fly at different heights. The devotees, they make use of, they maximize the potency that they have, that they can get. If they are pigeons, they fly maximum to their capacity. If they are mosquitoes, they fly maximum to their capacity. So in either way, like the Hanuman and the squirrel, they both did their service to their maximum limit. So Lord Ram was pleased with both of them. He didn't say, oh, Hanuman was throwing big boulder, the squirrel is just showing only some small sand particles. I will give different levels of mercy. No. So it's the endeavor that finally matters. It's our sincere attempt that finally matters.
One point I would like to add, because Lalita Mataji raised that point also, and you are so kindly teaching us all how to reflect and introspect. So I wanted to bring one point that I can bring from the small group teaching of medical students. And in reflection is a very powerful way of learning, and it's an extremely powerful way of group learning. And you're so kindly doing this international teaching and learning together. And what is really, what I learned after teaching them was that if each student was willing to share one major reflection they had, or one major introspection at the end of the class, and we would leave at least a good time to do that, then they open their hearts, and we would then, in a small group of 12 students, have 12 realizations.
Yes.
Instead of just one or two. And so that, and the others who are quiet or shy went last, and ones who were not so shy came first. But the others had very deep things to reveal, but they were just shy. And when they could see that it really is what it means to me, it's so personal, then that personal sharing is a very rich, and that pleases the Lord, because you're talking here about pleasing the Lord. So the Lord then is merciful to us, and we cannot please the Lord on our own. In ISKCON, Prabhupada set up, and Bhakti Charu Maharaj is writing, and his writings are coming out, that, and when we share, and the devotees share, and with each other, locally and internationally, but locally particularly, then that yatra will get very strong. So that
beautiful point, Mataji. Yeah. Yes,
introspection and reflection together as a shared thing is going to ride that bicycle, because nobody learns to ride the bicycle alone. My grandchildren, you know, they need a person with them all the time to teach them, and 2-3 people, even the neighbors, you know, and the other children, and then the child gets the confidence.
Yeah, Mataji, in this regard, I have some points on regarding the group study, how it can be done. Some little salient points. It's of course it's not an exhaustive thing. Devotees can have their own thing, way to follow. In one of the different types of studies that we have, one of that is group study. But today, I don't know if we'll have the time to get to it. I mean, if time permits, we can do that. Otherwise, we will do that in the next session, because it will reflect on how we can do this study, not just Bhagavatam, but any books for that matter. It will help in the growth, healthy growth of the congregations, as you said, Mataji. Very important point that you brought up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So one thing I just wanted to do before we go further, that we were planning to do that little exercise of studying Prabhupada's books. That's some little things that which we wanted to work on. Before that, I just wanted to cover a couple of more types of study, the process, benefits, etc. So that the next week is the last session. So there is one particular thing about how to study based on the questions and answers from Bhagavatam. That is a very deep and involved study, which I think pretty much most of next week would be dedicated for that. So there are quite a few things we need to cover in the meantime. So what I would rather suggest is that let's quickly cover these points on the different study types, a couple of more at least, and then go and do that exercise with Prabhupada's synonyms and purports and so on. Will that work?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So last week, I think when we studied the different types of studies, we did the deep study. We went through the sequentially how we do it verse by verse, right? Reciting the verse, how to bisect it, and studying the purport slowly, reading in between the lines, and those kind of things we studied. We discussed. And then the next type of study is this. So we were talking about, one of the type of study is episode-wise studying. Like, we have these various episodes in Bhagavatam, like Parikshit Maharaj, Ritu Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj cursed by Shringi, or his surrender. This is one of the topics which we will take up for our other study, the question and answer study. And we can specific episodes or specific. Just one sec, I think. Sorry, Prabhu and Mataji. Sushana wanted to show me something. Okay, so how do you do this process? We take an episode like Bhishma Dev passing away, or Prithu Maharaj episode, Dhruva Maharaj episode, and then we go through that study episode by episode. Like the one which we saw last week is a verse by verse, is a sequential study. You go from beginning to end. You go from beginning to end. Like in a sequence. But here you take Bali Maharaj episode, or you may take Prahlad Maharaj episode. Like that, you take the episode and then you meditate on group of verses deeply. This you can do individually also and group wise also. So that's one thing. And the second thing is, how to do group study. Of course, I told you we'll do it later. Now, reading and rereading everything. We should not be like, just go in a sequence, not coming back. If some point is not clear, you're not able to understand the link between the thing, then we will have to, go back and forth and do it. That's the thing. And then we have to contemplate on in between the lines, and deeply we have to do it. And then we have to note down unique points. And any specific, each topic will have different the episode. Each episode will have different types of thing. Like for example, if you take Gajendra's prayers, Gajendra's pastime, that Gajendra's prayers alone you can take, and then you can jot down the ways, different ways that Gajendra is addressing. There will be unique points from each of those things, Prabhus and Mataji's. Like in Gajendra's episode alone, there are about 128 different ways that Gajendra is addressing Krishna. Can you imagine Gajendra being caught by the crocodile and struggling for his life, decides to live his life thinking about Krishna, and says 128 different attributes or qualities of Krishna, addresses him with those different qualities. The most amazing thing in that is, in that entire prayer, not once also he is asking, Krishna, you please come and save me. I am really suffering. No. He decided that now I am going to leave, so let me just pray to Krishna. That's the beauty. Right? So like this, this is one unique unique thing. There are a lot of moral instructions also that comes out of it. The Krishna's qualities and moral instructions you will get from, say, Parikshit Maharaj or Dhruva Maharaj's episode, like different ways things come out. This is how Krishna reveals himself to us. So we should catch him. It can be moral instructions, it can be his transcendental qualities, it can be his relationship with the devotees, it can be devotees' beautiful qualities. So many different things will come out. So we should take out all those things and systematically put them down in our notes, right? So what are the benefits? It gives a complete idea of an episode. Like whenever you go and talk on a specific subject, you can get a complete hold of Bali Maharaj's episode, Dhruva Maharaj's episode, and so on, right? And then the next thing is writing down the important points from these episodes will help us in our preaching. Right, when you go for a preaching, somebody asks questions about Bali Maharaj, whether he went to Bilasaruka immediately, or why he was cursed by Shukracharya and things like that. Our deep study from this episode, like we will take a small groups we will form, and every week only once we will meet. But how much you relish it. Like we have been doing this 19th chapter of Bhagavatam, first canto, with a few groups. It takes months together to read that particular chapter, meditate on it. But at the end of it, what really makes me feeling pleased is devotees come and say we fell in love with the 19th. We have fallen in love with this 19th chapter, or we have fallen in love with that 9th chapter of Bhishma Devasi. That is what is the real success of our reading, Prabhus and Matajis. We have to fall in love with Bhagavatam. No, we may or may not be able to fall in love with Krishna, but we can definitely fall in love with Bhagavatam. In Krishna in the form of Bhagavatam. Because he reveals himself to us much more mercifully, much more lovingly, and much more pleasingly in that form, in the form of his sound incarnation. So the next thing is, of course, the benefit is that whenever we capture those transcendental qualities or the moral instructions or the devotee's mood, then we can appreciate it, we can admire it. And by admiring it is the first step for us to start following it, practicing it. And this is the thing that will please the Lord immensely. Okay. And what are the precautions that we should watch out for? We may refer to different quotes and references in the purport, but the thing is, always remember to get back to the main flow. The same thing applies to our regular study of in a sequence, that applies to the episode-wise reading also. Don't unnecessarily refer to books outside of Bhagavatam. Sometimes devotees come and say that, Gajendra was like this in the previous, Dhruva Maharaj was like this in his previous life. Prahlad Maharaj had something, benediction from his previous life and things like that. But don't get yourself confused with too many such things. Yeah, one thing is very, very simple that I follow, which has benefited me. I mean, definitely it should benefit you also. That we won't be able to complete Prabhupada's Bhagavatam itself in this lifetime. So no need to really worry about what will I do if I don't read that book, this book, and so on. And whatever we get from Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada's purports, Prabhupada's writings is complete and full in itself. We don't have to go anywhere out of this. And the realizations that we get, the relish that we get out of studying Prabhupada's books is complete and perfect in itself. We don't have to go outside. If others say it may be correct, it may not be correct, but doesn't matter. As long as it fits in with our main flow of Prabhupada's books, we are happy to accept it. That is an important thing. We are not fanatical. We accept from everywhere, but the acceptance depends on how much it fits in with our Prabhupada's way of giving Bhagavatam. Because in this whole world, Prabhus and Matajis, this is the book, this Bhagavad Gita and this Bhagavatam is the book that is making real devotees pure devotees of Krishna. Rest everything else is fine. They are also making pure devotees, but that this is really the way to go. And Prabhupada has taught us by his personal practice. Right? That's one thing. And next is about the same thing about deep study with topic wise. When we say episode wise and topic wise, it is slightly different. For example, when you say topic wise, I'm saying concept wise, we can say instead of saying topic wise, not to confuse. So the thing is, we can take concepts like material modes, time, karma, then we have, say humility, or say some things like, how should I put it, like rebirth and things like this. We can take these topics and collect the different dimensions of how the different devotees express. For example, time. Time is glorified, or the realization of time is shared by so many different devotees in different ways all through Bhagavatam. Bhishmadev tells it in one way, Kunti Maharani glorifies it in one way, Prahlad Maharaj tells it in one way, then even Hiranyakashipu says that in an interesting way. So we consolidate the different concepts from different devotees and then put it across together and form a complete jigsaw puzzle like that. We have a complete picture of this time. So exactly what time is, what karma is. This all through Bhagavatam, these are spread out everywhere, right? So this is another interesting way of studying. And this will give us, like, somebody asks, okay, what is your idea of karma? Then we can tell from Bhagavatam easily. It's different, anywhere from Bhagavatam you can take and speak. How to do this? Like, one easy way to do this is, like, you refer to the index of the books in the back side of the book. And in the index, there will be written, like, karma, the vikarma, akarma, how to get rid of karma, the effects of karma, like that. Everything will be collected under the word karma. So same way with the time, so on, right? So we collect from, say, the various sections and refer to that particular page, and then get the content from there and meditate on it. Write down the salient points, to put them together and meditate on it. So this is one other way. And another way is, of course, there is a modern way is there. Go to Vedabase, do the search results and get the search results, and people that normally devotees do for even for taking classes. That is another way of doing it. So what's the benefit? We get a complete idea, clear idea of the topics. Like, say, mind. Mind is an interesting topic. The whole of Bhagavatam has so many interesting instruction about mind, the quality of the nature of mind, and so on. So we can just get an idea of that topic also. And then one other thing we can do is that we can, of course, the effect of it is, like, we can prepare a consolidated presentation with the different dimensions. And then if you want to take seminars, classes, and go to, give some preaching and form a different ways. Like, for example, some of the topics that devotees usually give sessions on is, like, stress control, stress management, mind control, art of mind control, and things like that. So here it will help really in when you want to present such topics to either outsiders or to the general society, or to even within the devotee community. And the other thing is, if you do deeper research, we can even prepare articles. I've seen devotees writing white paper on topics like mind, karma, and so on, which will be, even you can go further and put it as a like a white paper thing or presentation for our universities and so on. And then the precaution is, like, ensure, as usual, take notes of the topics, organize it neatly and systematically. Don't write in multiple places. If you take one notebook, keep it for time. Just keep writing it for time. And we take another notebook, keep it separately for mind. Devotees have their own ways. Krishna inspires them through their intelligence. Then the next thing is, one other thing is that don't just write your notes and keep it to yourself. If we share such notes, they are maybe preach basically, then our knowledge gets solidified, right? So these are the points for the concept wise and episode wise. Any questions so far before we move on to the next one?
Sorry, Prabhu, could we quickly look at the other slide, the previous one?
Sorry, Mataji, I got some distracted by some noise.
We just wanted to catch the previous slide, the last bit.
Okay. one important thing we should understand is that, we can go, there is a scope for us to think over and have our own experience built into it, but at the same time ensure that, the main focus is on Prabhupada's understanding and ours is subservient to those understanding, our realizations or experiences or what we hear and understand from others, from other sources. It has to be always subservient to what we understand from Prabhupada. Otherwise, what will happen is we end up doing all kinds of things and get confused and lose the focus and main track.
Thank you, Prabhu. Please do proceed.
Yep. Thank you. Okay, so what I was thinking is that this deep study Q&A based, maybe we should do this next week, maybe, or after we complete this particular exercise. So you see that the time is already 1:20 here, I mean, in India. So we will probably take some time to do this this particular task. So okay, let's do this now. Because devotees wanted to know how to take notes, so I just put in some points here. And then we will go through that exercise, and with that maybe we can conclude today's session. So the first thing is, our notes has to be brief. You have to take the essence of the whatever we are reading and put it in our understanding. The next thing is, one thing that will really help us is forming acronyms. My spiritual master is very good with these acronyms. Like Bhagavatam 4:12-37, there are 5 different qualities of devotees. Shantaha, Samadrishaha, Shuddhaha, Sarva Bhuta Anuranjana, Yanti Anjasa Achyuta Padam, Achyuta Priya Bandavaha. So in these words, in this 4 lines, there are 5 qualities of devotees that are given. Like Shantaha means peaceful, Samadrisha, equipoised, then Shuddhaha, pure, then Sarva Bhuta Anuranjanaha, satisfying all living entities, then Achyuta Priya Bandavaha, intimate association only with devotees. So in this, Maharaj took that P for peaceful, E for equipoised, the next P for pure, the next S for satisfy all living entities, and then I for intimate association only with devotees. So Maharaj coined a term called Pepsi. So Maharaj said, you drink this Pepsi if you want to come to devotional service. If you drink the other Pepsi, you will get into Maya. So this is interesting ways, like, and even that Yat Kirtanam, Yat Shravanam, Yat Smaranam, Yat Arhanam. There's a beautiful prayer of Shukadev Maharaj. So you take the first letter of each word and coin an acronym so that you will remember the qualities and also the words easily. So this is one interesting tip to follow. And then this is an interesting tool that, I mean, the way that Maharaj taught us, how to, you write down the words and synonym in a format. I'm just going to show that. This is very, very interesting and very useful for effective study and memorizing the verses. Many times we memorize the verses, but we don't understand the meaning. So how do you combine the together? And it will be very useful for us while I'm singing the shloka itself. I will remember the meaning and sing. That way, my bhava also will be we can express our bhava also while we sing those verses. Right? So here, for example, this shloka is, Pibantiye Bhagavata Atmanah Satam Kathamrutam Shravana Puteshu Sampratam Punantite Vishaya Vidushita Ashayam Prajantita Charana Saroru Hantikam. So these, what are in these brackets, they are all the word-to-word equivalents of these verses, of these words. So when I write it like this, like Pibanti, who drink, Ye means those. So Pibanti Ye means those who drink. So when I sing Pibantiye, in my mind, the meaning will be those who drink will be there. And those who drink what? Of the personality of God. What of the, they are actually the Atmanaha. They are the most dear to Krishna. Bhagavata Atmanaha. And who are those? Satam, of devotees. The devotees. So the first line, it talks about devotees, those who drink the nectar, whatever, they drink something. They are the most dear to Krishna. And what do they drink? It's in the next line. Kathamritam Shravana Puteshu Sambritam. Means they, Kathamritam, the nectarian message of Krishna. Shravana Puteshu means within the ear holes, right? Holes of the ears. Sambritam means fully filled. It's like, it's continuously, it's flowing. Like, you have a cup and you keep on pouring water. Even after it is overflowing, you just keep pouring it. That is what is called Sambritam. Overflowing, fully filled. Huh? What it does when we hear Krishna Katha through the holes of the ears, we drink the juice, nectarian juice, not through the mouth, but through the ear holes. And that Unanti purifies the polluted aim of life. That is called Vishaya Vidushita Ashayam. And once the polluted aim of life is cleansed, what happens? Prajanti, we go back to Krishna's lotus feet. Saroruha Antikam, we go near Krishna's lotus. In other words, we leave this material connection and we go back to Krishna and serve him directly there. This is all happens simply by drinking the oral, drinking the nectarian message of Krishna through the oral reception or the hearing, through the hearing. So this is a nice little technique to, combine the word to word and the verse together, so that when I'm singing the shloka itself, I sing with meaning. If I don't understand the meaning, simply learn by heart, it will just be a mechanical recitation. It may not really help me that much. Does that help, Mataji's, Prabhus? Any questions?
That's really helpful, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is something which my spiritual master taught us. In all his diaries, he will be writing down like this. So, we save space also, and you also understand the meaning there. So this is one thing.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanush
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, do you also advise to learn Sanskrit so that we can appreciate it, have the bhava better, Prabhuji?
It's up to the devotees, Prabhu. Like yesterday, like 2 weeks before, I was listening to nice pastimes of Prabhupada, Bhaktacharya Maharaj Prabhupada. Maharaj said something very interesting that we went to ask Prabhupada once. Prabhupada, he gave so many reasons as to learn Sanskrit. So every time he told a reason, Prabhupada said, no, it is not needed. He defeated that reason. And in the end, he surrendered, said, okay, Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada said, this is enough. Nothing more to really work on. But if you have time, if you would like to learn Sanskrit, go ahead, please go ahead. Like when we were reciting the different dunes for the shlokas, remember two sessions ago? This is the point I also shared at the end, that you want to make a garland with the flowers. You have a set of flowers. You need only that much length of the thread that is needed for the flowers. Just because you have a long thread, you don't make a long garland. You only need garland that fits in that frame, photo frame, or the deity, right? So the thread is like the Sanskrit. The flowers is our actual Bhagavatam, or the slokas, whatever, right? So as much as you need, to that extent, you can take advantage. And to me, Prabhu, last 25 years, I have not learned Sanskrit, but all my Sanskrit learning is only through Prabhupada's word-to-word equivalence.
Amazing, Prabhuji. We can't even read.
This is much better, because the other Sanskrit, if you learn, they will give only one meaning for one word. But Prabhupada will give 20 different meanings for the same word.
Great.
And moreover, Prabhu, one small challenge is also there. Because, for example, Prabhupada say Shravana Puteshu is within the ear holes. If you go to the actual Sanskrit, as per the technical thing, they may give slightly different something. Like, for example, Sambritam word is fully filled. They may give some other meaning for it. If we get too much into it now, there is a risk of us start questioning Prabhupada also. Prabhupada's meaning, Prabhupada's what you call his translation. I don't want to risk my surrender to Prabhupada through my learning of Sanskrit. That's why I don't want to go anywhere outside of this. I mean, there is always this question, because Prabhupada, whatever he is giving is realized translations, they are not literal translations. So, as per his realizations, he will give, different meanings for different people, So, So that's my understanding, Prabhu. I mean, you go ahead and you can learn Sanskrit, is most welcome to do. But again, there's nothing like learning from Prabhupada's books.
Wonderful. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Kalachakra Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Your Guru Maharaj is a Sanskrit scholar, no? So
Yeah,
what
but
was
that was before
what was his take
Krishna.
on? What was his take on? I know that some basics. If someone wants to, someone wants to learn, like some basics, they may add up, they may help. But
Yeah.
your Maharaj was like he was a proper Sanskrit scholar. So what was his take on? How did he see?
So yeah, thank you, Prabhu. I think I mean you're putting me into more trouble now. No, the thing is, as Maharaj was a Sanskrit scholar even when he joined ISKCON, even before he joined ISKCON. So because he had completed his Krsna life and joined. So I mean, Prabhupada, the moment he entered, Prabhupada said, "Oh, you are a Sanskrit scholar. Then you should join and you should become a sannyasi and you should spread Bhagavatam all over the world." That's the instruction. Very first time when Maharaj met Prabhupada, that's the instruction he gave. So, I mean, but Maharaj has also taught Sanskrit in, say, various, Abhiyachi, Yamachi, and all, Vrindavan, Mayapur, and many other places. But one thing Maharaj would say is that even if you want to learn Sanskrit, learn in connection with Krishna. For example, the 8 cases are there, I think, locative, so many different cases are there. I don't remember all of them. Sorry?
Vibhaktis.
Yeah, Vibhaktis, it's called cases. So these cases, if you want to learn, it's very easy. Like, you don't learn simply by saying Rama, Rama, Ramaha, like that. You have to learn, of course, helplessly, that's the way. But then to make it interesting, Maharaj would say you should learn through these prayers which make us remember easily, it goes like this, One I think we have sung earlier also. Shri Krishna Sharanam Samasta Jagatam Krishnam Vina Kagatihi Krishnena Pratihanyate Kalimalam Krishnaya Karyam Namaha Krishna Trasyati Kalabhima Bhujago Krishnasya Dasosmyaham Krishne Bhakti Rakhandita Bhavatu Me Bho Krishna Tvamevashrayah. So in this Krishnasya, Krishna, like that, all these different cases. Krishna is not a case, but Krishna, like that, each one of those are covered in just this one prayer. And this prayer is also very meaningful. We may get to it later, in interest of time. But like this, when you sing along with the thing, the bhava, it's all the more enjoyable. Like the different dhuns we learned, the chandas we learned also. When we do it with that bhava in connection with Krishna, it's fine. We can do it. So, but only thing Maharaj used to say is that don't waste too much time in learning Sanskrit, because just to learn Sanskrit grammar alone, it takes 20 years. Did that help you, Prabhu? Did that make you feel encouraged or discouraged?
Yes, you're asking me, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Because the question you asked that question.
Yes, it does take a lot of time. But some of the basics may help you when you are reading, and
yes,
especially when you connect through Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, rather than doing standalone. But if you connect to Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam,
yes.
Definitely it will help to a degree. That's in my case I'm trying to say.
Yes. No, there's no way to stop anybody from reading Bhagavatam. Learning Sanskrit. But just one word of caution is what Prabhupada would always. Sometimes, we also take this as a support for our laziness also sometimes, oh, Prabhupada said not to learn Sanskrit, so let me not learn Sanskrit. But at least we should utilize that time in Bhagavatam. So Sanskrit is not a preliminary requirement for bhakti, but it definitely enhances our bhakti also. And it helps us pronounce the prayers properly, the words properly, the verses. So it helps. So another form of thing, as you go along, another form of thing is that this is to help us understand when we are reading the translation, we understand the translation with the verse. The previous thing is combining the equivalent with the verse. This next form is understanding, combining the translation and the verse. So how do we do that? We combine like this. Yeah. So here, this is those who drink through oral reception fully filled with the nectarian message of Lord Krishna. This is a translation actually. But what I have highlighted in yellow, this is the Sanskrit words. You see, and you see that the entire verse, you can see Pibantiye Bhagavata Atmana Satam Katamritam Shravana Puteshu Samritam Unantite Vishaya Vidushitashayam Prajanti Tacharana Saroruhantikam. See, all the words are covered in this translation. Do you see this magic? Now, what can be a better magic than Prabhupada's translation? We have not got into the word-to-word equivalence. That is another magic. But you can see how Prabhupada has done his magic, putting the whole thing in a nice translation in which we can understand. And see the word-to-word, one beautiful thing also you understand here, you can observe here, that here he is talking about nectarian messages fully filled within the ear holes and so on, right? Shravana Puteshu. But here in the translation, Prabhupada introduces an interesting word called oral reception. Shravana Puteshu. So normally a person say, hey, there he is saying within the ear holes, fully filled. There he is not using that word, but here is he using that word. We have to understand one thing, Prabhus and Matajis, that Prabhupada has so much realization, apart from being a Sanskrit scholar also, so much realization of the each verse that he can't do justification just by putting everything in just one thing. That is why Prabhupada is giving the word-to-word meanings, he is giving the translation, and he is giving the purport also. Otherwise, we will end up doing only word. We will see today how only word-to-word will take so much of energy and effort to understand. So, by doing like this, actually Prabhupada has given us different sweets within this each verse. Verse itself is sweet, word-to-word equivalence is sweeter, translation is even more sweeter, and purport is the sweetest. Who can do so much effort, Prabhus and Matajis? Just by simply in this, he has done magic behind each of these verses, giving the word to words and so on. We haven't even gone into the depth. Let me tell you, we are only trying to appreciate it from outside, licking the outer bottle of the honey. So what helps when we are in these exercises, in this way when you are doing it, it helps us understand the translation along with the word, each of the Sanskrit words. So this verse we can by heart without going through and going through the process of repeating. Instead, we can just simply do these exercise, go back and forth. The verse will be within our hearts along with the meaning. That's the beauty. Does this help?
Prabhuji, that's really helpful. It's for those who are familiar with Gita Bhushana, this is the technique that Baladev Vidyabhushan uses in his commentaries to the Bhagavad Gita verses, and I found it really helpful. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. And see, interestingly, this oral reception, let's try to meditate on this oral reception. How do we contemplate on this oral reception? See, this word, two words, oral reception. Prabhupada is using this word, oral reception, for hearing, This reception is a very interesting word. What comes to our mind the moment we think of this word reception? How and all Prabhupada would have thought over just to put this one word, if you can, we can appreciate it. What comes to our mind when we think of this word reception? Let's open it up. Devotees can speak and answer.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Reception, you know, rather than just saying hearing, reception is when you are willing to accept in a nice way. You know, when we receive somebody with respect.
Yes, Mataji. No, I'm just trying to understand the different connotations where we use the word reception. See, the first thing is we can use, very frequently we use it for wedding reception, correct?
Yes.
And then another place where we use is, say this reception in an office, reception in a, you know, in a company, in a building, in a hospital, or
dignitary, big meetings or
yes,
royal.
Yes, meeting halls. Everywhere in the front office we have a reception, right? And what is another place where we use this word reception?
Signal transmission reception.
Yes, radio reception, right? Signals, isn't it?
Yes.
So let's try to understand why Prabhupada is using this word. This reception, wedding reception, when you go, does anybody look morose? Everybody is smiling gleefully, isn't it? Cheerfully. And they all welcome each other, hug each other. They are so smiling and, you know, very heartfelt. Even if they are enemies, they smile at each other. Because everywhere video cameras and photos, these cameras are video cameras and these photo cameras are on, so they will capture something very badly and their reputation will be spoiled, isn't it? So everybody comes in. The moment the photographer takes this thing, camera, says smile, cheese, isn't it? So this is all representation of our cheerfully approaching Krishna. So when we do oral reception, our approach has to be with glee, with cheer, with joy. Even in the front office, do they have someone very angry and more angry and frowning people in the reception desk, in the front desk? They keep someone who is always smiling. Even if somebody comes and shouts at them, they answer very softly, patiently, and smilingly, isn't it? So the whole thing is about approaching with love, sharing. I mean, the whole thing about hearing Bhagavatam is with love, with loving Krishna, not with the doubting Krishna. Right? So when we go to Krishna, he receives us. And we also should receive Krishna. Anywhere we have seen Krishna having a frowning face, he's always smiling, Mandahasa, Smita Shobhana. Right? So the same way, we also should receive Krishna when he comes to us in the form of oral reception. We have to receive him with joy and cheerfulness. And the third point about radio reception. See, the frequencies are everywhere. There are all different frequencies are there. But you tune in only to that specific reception, that particular signal frequency which you would like to hear, isn't it? Like 94.5, 102.6, like that, they give some frequency, you tune into that, exactly that frequency, you catch it. But the frequencies are everywhere, that sound vibrations everywhere, all over the space, isn't it? Same way, in this world also, there are so many different types of frequencies. Mundane frequencies, all people shouting at each other, scolding, all kinds of name calling, and then there will be some who will be intimidating. But in the middle of all those nonsensical vibrations, we have our Bhagavatam sound vibration also, which is completely transcendental, completely pure and purifying. And so we have to tune into that specific frequency so that in the midst of all these frequencies, we will be able to capture that. Isn't it? Like when we are going into a noisy market street, somewhere in some corner, somebody is playing Kartal. Don't you think you will get that, you will capture that sound? Hey, somewhere Kartal sound is going on. Maybe some Kirtan is going on. Isn't it? Don't we capture that frequency in the middle of all the noisy other surroundings? So our ears have the ability to capture that which we have interest on. So when we develop that interest for Bhagavatam, we will also tune in to that Bhagavatam frequency. That's what this oral reception means. Shravana puteshu. So many other nonsense will come into our ears, but we filter them all out and only take Krishna Rasayanam Piba, Sri Krishna Rasayanam Piba. See, this one word gives so much meaning, and how much Prabhupada would have thought over this. Actually, we are running out of time, so we have to go further fast. Let me just go next thing quickly. So you have to make your notes. Like I said, don't write too many things. Like for example, for this verse, you just write down oral reception as a key word. Then it will you will remember. You know, or like another important thing is what it does. It purifies the polluted aim of life. So we just put a small phrase like solution to purify the polluted aim of life. That should be enough for us to note down. That is the one way of doing it, right? And then, but with all these things, the most important thing we have to understand is that we have to refer to the notes frequently and contemplate on the points. This is one thing that we learned and seen practically from our spiritual master. He would have his diaries, so many diaries, he would refer to them so many times that anytime we call and ask him, Maharaj, I want this verse, you said something, just 1 minute, Kalachakra. And then he will go, even he is faster than even our Veda-based search. In all those loads of diaries that he has, he will pick up exactly that diary and he will open it up and he will immediately read it out for me. For us, many of us, he has done it, you know. So that comes because he so frequently refers to them, whatever he has written. He values it so much. He sees that not different from Krishna. Anytime we go and touch his diaries, we had it. He would fire us left, right, and center. You can't touch my diary without my permission. And then he will say, Maharaj, I want to read it. He said, no, you write your own notes. I can give you my notes, but you write your own notes. That will be your realization. So that's how Maharaj trained us, to prepare our own notes. So any amount of efficient ways of notes taking is of no use if we don't contemplate or you don't refer to them frequently. And you can just carry one notebook when you are going in a train or a bus or a flight. You just open it up and keep on reading it. It will be the best thing we can do. You have it handy, The last, but not the least, we have to repeat it to others. It's not enough just to write down. If you don't repeat, if you don't preach, then it will not be held in our mind for a long time. Just like you have an unused knife, it's of no use. Same like you have a cracked pot filled with water. If it is left for a long time, all the water will drain away. It's of no use. So these are the points, some of the points I could gather in quick time. There are many more things, but time is of the essence, so we'll move on. So now, with all things whatever we gathered so far, today we are, as I told last week, that we will relish Prabhupada's magics with synonyms. This is something which we will do. Now, what we will do now is that one small rule of the thing we have to have the rule. One small rule. Sumed is there, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, yes.
Yeah. So Sumed, you may have to, it's going to be like, we will be doing this, what do you call this now? So we will be doing this exercise. All of us will be one team. We are all one group.
Yeah.
And Prabhupada is on the other group.
Okay.
Okay, Prabhupada is one team and we are all together one team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and nobody is going to open their books. You are not going to open our books. If you open your books, then we are out of the game.
Okay.
Okay, easiest instruction to follow. Okay, so now the thing is, what we will do, there is one set of verses, the 5 verses in Bhagavatam, first canto, 16th chapter, 26 to 30. Okay, this lists, actually this is a conversation between the Dharma bull and the mother cow. Because the Dharma bull, the 4 legs are being cut now. So mother cow asks Dharma bull, you are going through so much pain. But Dharma bull responds by remembering Krishna's qualities. So when we are in trouble, we have to remember Krishna. That's the lesson they teach, right? They are going through the most terrible trouble. So this, these are the verses spoken by Dharma bull, and this lists 40 different qualities of Krishna. Normally, when we go, So this, this just to put it on a few words, like Sanskrit words have more than one meaning, as we discussed already. So this one thing I learned from Shruti Dharma Prabhu when I visited UK many years ago, is that Prabhu said one very interesting thing. He said, Prabhupada used to visit to Mena very frequently those days, the last days, and of course even earlier, that he used to be in his room with his dictaphone, and the person servants, they were very always excited to see how much Prabhupada is speaking in the dictaphone, that count, So then all night Prabhupada's light will be on, the night lamp will be on, and these person servants will go to rest. In the morning, they will come and see that, so much is done. So one night, Prabhupada left his light on for a long time. So the devotees were thinking, oh, Prabhupada must be writing a lot of things. But when they came in the morning to see, there was only one word and its meaning that Prabhupada had spoken in that entire. Prabhupada, you sat for a whole long night. What happened to this thing? You were not keeping well or something? And Prabhupada said that, this one word, I had to meditate for so long to make sure that how to make it understandable for you people in the future, and also practice. That is why I was not able to move beyond this one word whole night. Prabhu and Mataji, this one thing really shook me. This one incident that Prabhu narrated, it shook me. Why would somebody take so much effort, so much pain, so much endeavor to give this to the world? So many different meanings are there. You see, go on to the word Veda base and just click on one Sanskrit word. It will list all the different words Prabhupada has used. It can, only one thing will fit there. It's such an amazing thing that Prabhupada, this oral reception, one word, how much he must have thought over Prabhu's and Mataji's. Like now we discussed on it in a quick time for 15 minutes, but so much has gone into it. So this is why it is a very important exercise that we do today to appreciate Prabhupada, how much he has meditated on each of these words and what treasure he has given us. And his translations are not literal translations, it is realized translation. And these are the miraculous gift that Prabhupada has left with us for generations to come. Okay. So now the words will be here on the left side. And I will not read Prabhupada's real translation. Okay. I will open the chat if devotees want to start the chat. Sorry. Chat. In this chat also devotees can type your messages. Let's start off the first word, Saucham. Sorry, Satyam, I think, right? The first word, yes, Satyam. The words are on the left side, so you can, Satyam is truth. Okay. Okay. Then Lakshmi Mother said truth. Okay, all of you are saying truth. Truthful. All of you can type, or you want to speak also, you can speak. Let's enjoy this fun with Prabhupada for some time. So Prabhupada is saying truthfulness. Okay. Sumit, you will have to put a tick mark whenever we are correct with
Yes,
Prabhupada's
okay.
translation,
I'll do
and
that.
cross mark when we are missing out. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then Mataji, no need to rush quickly. We are doing one by one. Okay. Then Lakshmi Mataji is already gone to the next one. Okay. Truth is truthfulness. Okay. Prabhupada is giving us a little bit of appetizer now. Okay. The next is Saucham, cleanliness. Okay. Second is also fine. Okay. Purity. Fine. Different word. Okay. So what is Daya? Mercy. Okay.
Compassion.
Compassion. Okay. Any other? He is just warming up. Prabhupada is warming us up. Okay.
Karunya.
Karunyam is Sanskrit. We want English word. Kindness. Okay. Very nice. Okay. Let's go on. Let's see what Prabhupada says here. Can somebody read this?
Intolerance of others and happiness.
Okay. Thank you for reading it correctly, Mataji. In 4 or 5 times I have done this exercise with different devotees. Every time devotees would say only this thing, that intolerance of others' happiness. I mean, unknowingly they tell the truth. We can't tolerate others' happiness. No? So the thing is, this is real daya. Intolerance of others' unhappiness. We should not tolerate others being unhappy. Unfortunately, we are not able to tolerate others being happy. That's why it comes out inadvertently, right? But intolerance of others unhappy. How much Prabhupada would have thought over to put this point, Prabhu's and Mataji? Simply I say, Prabhu, give me your mercy. Prabhu, be compassionate. Prabhu, I want your mercy. We have made a joke of this word mercy. But actually, this is real mercy. Prabhupada was not able to tolerate this whole world being unhappy. That's why he spread his daya to everyone, all over the world. So it's not a simple word that we can just play around with, right? Intolerance of others' unhappiness. If devotees want to open up some Sanskrit dictionary and keep these words, also you are most welcome, because I assure you these words will not match to what is there in our standard dictionary. Kamchar Prabhu, you are going to say something?
No, no, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. So should we move on to the next one? Already having fun?
Yes, Prabhu.
Liking this? Okay. Okay. It will only get better. Shanti means normally, what is the word normally used for, what is the meaning of Shanti? Shanti is peaceful, but Shanti means, no, that is Shanti. This is Shanti. Shanti means forgiving, right? Isn't it? You can search
Kshama.
that link, that Shanti, Kshama, no? So Kshama. So Shanti means forgiving. So what Prabhupada is saying? This is what Prabhupada says. Self-control, even if there is cause of anger. Many times that's what we do. We say, oh, I've forgiven you. But the problem is, in the heart of hearts, our anger will not get dissipated. It will not go away. It will not vanish. It will simmer along in the bottom of our hearts. The moment there is something, it will trigger. That's a self-control, even if there is cause of anger. There is cause of anger. People are agitating me, or people are agitating us. But we should provide Shanti. That is what Shanti means. We should be calm. We should be restrained. Okay?
Prabhuji, amazing. He's actually getting into the root, Prabhuji, right? The root cause.
Exactly. We forgot the root of the meaning of these words, and Prabhupada is bringing it out. That churning and bringing it out. Now, when you churn, only all the one that is bottom will all come out, isn't it? On the bottom part, it will all come out. That's exactly what Prabhupada is doing. Shall we go along?
Yes, Prabhu.
So 2 tick marks and 2 cross marks, right?
Yes, so far 2 right, 2 wrong.
Okay, okay. Yeah, the cross marks are going to get more and more as we go along. Okay, next one, Tyaga. Sacrifice. Okay, renunciation.
Attachment.
Okay. Sacrifice. Normally, sacrifice is the word we use. Okay, what is Prabhupada saying? Magnanimity. We say, when we saying Tyaga, sacrifice, I may say something which is not useful for me, I will give it and say I am sacrificing it. Then I will say, I sacrifice so much for you. The moment I say sacrifice so much for you, that Tyaga is lost. What is magnanimity? I am so magnanimous that I sacrifice also, and I don't tell also. I don't keep it in my mind also. I don't brood over it that, oh, I have done so much sacrifice, so much sacrifice. No, that is not sacrifice. I am Tyaga. And second thing is, Tyaga means that which is very dear to us, we give it. That is what is real Tyaga. So when magnanimous means I give big heart. Yes, big heart to give what is ours. That is real Tyaga. Otherwise, I'm simply saying, Tyaga, he is a big Tyagi, he gives this, he gives that. He gives so much. But whatever is not needed for him, he is giving it. What is most important for him, can he give it? That is what Krishna is asking. That is what is the quality here, magnanimity. We have to be magnanimous in giving what is the most dear to us, time, that which we cannot get back. So we are giving the time to others. We are giving it to others. Sometimes, like Rantideva, he was almost about to die. And then the last glass of water he had, that also somebody wanted to come and take. And then he gave it also. That is real magnanimity. Isn't it? Okay, can you move on? Any questions also devotees can ask. Okay, Santosha is already Purushottam is saying contentment. Okay, happiness. Sumit Prabhu is saying happiness, satisfaction. Okay, self-satisfied. Okay, self-satisfaction.
Hey, Haribo.
Hey, Pundarik Prabhu ki jai. So this is important. Many times we say satisfaction, but satisfaction is not satisfaction. Self-satisfaction means I should be satisfied with myself, whatever I have. Normally we say that if I get it, I will be satisfied. That is not satisfaction. Irrespective of whether I get something or not, what I am satisfied with myself, that is self-satisfaction. So Prabhu has, we have to thank Pundarik Prabhu to help us come on draw level with Prabhupada now.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, so Arjavam. So what is Arjavam normally? Straightforward, simplicity. Okay. Straightforwardness. Arjavam means straightforwardness. So again, this also I think Prabhupada is leading now. Okay. Shamaha. Shamodama tapas shaucham. Right? What is normally shamaha? No, shamaha is not, shama, that is. Shama is, it's not forgiveness. Shama is forgiveness. Shama is, normally we use it for controlling of the mind. Shama is controlling of the mind. Dama is controlling of the senses. Okay. Let's see what Prabhupada says for Shama. Fixing of the mind. So it's not simply to control. See, this is a very, very beautiful word Prabhupada is using here. If I simply say I'm controlling the mind, I may control the mind, but what will I do after I control? It has to be fixed in Krishna's lotus feet, isn't it? Savai Mana Krishna Padaravindayo. That's when it is actually Shamaha. Otherwise, simply I control my mind, that will not be controlled, it will blast out. So fixing of the mind, we have to fix it at the lotus feet of Krishna. See how Prabhupada is bringing out the important point, what is real Shama. Otherwise, that what you call that that boat which does not have an anchor, it will just sway away, isn't it? Same way, our mind also will sway away even after control. Okay. Damaha, he said control of the senses. Prabhupada says control of the sense organs. Maybe we can say, okay, fine, Sumed, you can put tick mark for this.
Okay.
Shamaha is cross mark. Okay.
Yes.
Tapaha, this is interesting. So let's see what people say for Tapa.
Austerity.
Austerity. Anything else? Everybody will say austerity, isn't it? Okay. Let's see this. See how amazing this is. Trueness to one's responsibility is the real austerity. What is our responsibility? Otherwise, everybody will say, I want to go and stand in Himalayas in one leg. I'm not able to do that tapas. No, Prabhupada has brought it down to our level and easily understand how it is, what is really needed for it. Like say, if you're a teacher, you are teaching the kids properly, that is your tapa. If you're a mother, you are taking care of the children and all the required things that you have to do for the house related things, that is your tapa. A man is taking care of the family, he is doing his job properly, that is his tapa. Whatever is our responsibility, if we are true to our responsibility, that is real tapa. And in order to do that responsibility, I may stand in the bus for 1 hour and go. I may wait in a traffic jam on the way. I will have to start up very early in the morning. I may have to go to so many other things, do so many things to ensure that that responsibility is truly properly carried out. That is tapa. Our standing in one leg in the bus is equal to an sage standing in the Himalayas in one leg. doing tapas for thousands of years, like maybe Hiranyakashipu or Dhruva Maharaj for that matter. This is Prabhupada's magic. We have to be true to our responsibility. That is the real tapa. Now see how he has brought it down to our level, Prabhus and Matajis. Okay, let's go on. This is a big cross mark actually. So Samyam, Samata. Samyam means equal, equipoised, isn't it? What does Prabhupada says? Indiscrimination between friend and foe. I will simply say equal. If I say, oh, I'm equal to everybody, and then I will have some corner for someone, it doesn't work. I don't discriminate between friend and foe. That is the real Samyam. That is the real understanding of Samyam. Otherwise, I will keep telling I'm equal to everybody, but I will always have somebody sentiment, somebody else. I mean, I don't, in my heart, I don't have space for them. I give special attention to somebody, I don't, I ignore someone else. You know, it said in Bhagavatam, neglecting is worse than killing. If we neglect a living entity, that is worse than killing. So the samyata is lost there. We should always try to be, you know, attentive to any living entity's needs, sacrificing our own. So let's go on. Titiksha is very easy now. Tolerance. Let's see what Titiksha says, Prabhupada says. It's not simply tolerance, tolerance of the offenses of others. I may tolerate someone who is very favorable with me, but I will not tolerate even a slightest thing of someone unfavorable with me. So when somebody offends only, my tolerance limit will come out, isn't it? If nobody offends me, there is nothing to tolerate. So daya is intolerance of others' unhappiness. Titiksha is tolerance of others' offense towards us. Okay. So Uparati, did anybody find the meaning of Uparati from that spoken Sanskrit? Governor Raj Prabhu?
Oh, I've not looked at it.
Or someone else wants to look at it? It's okay. We will have to move on, quite a few to cover. So Uparati
Quiet.
is normally, sorry?
Quiet.
Uparati means beyond attachment, normally. Rati is attachment, Uparati is beyond attachment. So what does Prabhupada say? Indifference to loss and gain. You are beyond this Rati, no attachment. That is indifference to loss and gain. That is what Prabhupada says. You are indifferent. Whether it is loss or gain, you are indifferent to it. Okay, let's move on. More to cover. Oh, this chat window here. Okay. Shrutam. Shruti, no? Shrutam. Shruti.
Hearing, something related to hearing?
Hearing, related to hearing. Scriptures. Shruti is scriptures normally. But Prabhupada is adding this word following scriptural injunctions, not simply scriptures. We have to follow. Only when we follow that Shruti is successful. Shrutam is successful. Okay. Next one, Jnanam.
Knowledge.
Self-realization within brackets. Virakti.
Disinterested.
Detachment. Virakti is detachment, no?
Yeah.
Detachment from sense enjoyment, not simply detachment. I may be detached from something which which is not of related to me, right? I may say I'm detached to this building, I'm detached to that place, whatever. But detachment from sense enjoyment. Now comes an interesting thing, Aishwaryam.
Opulence.
Opulence. Any other try?
Transcendental opulence.
No. Leadership.
Uh-huh.
Real Aishwaryam is leadership. It's not enough. See, what if I have all the opulence and nobody cares for me? What is this, right? That a real Aishwaryam. I should be able to be the leader. One who leads is the real Aishwaryam. Leader means not just a controller kind of a thing. Leader is one who inspires everybody. Inspires everybody to follow. Inspires everybody to take up Krishna consciousness, take up devotional service, or take up any specific activity by his personal inspiration, personal example. That is real Aishwarya, Prabhupada says. It's never we would have thought about this, isn't it? For Aishwarya, nowhere in the world. Okay, Shauryam.
Bravery. Hero.
Yeah,
Heroism.
it's chivalry. Prabhupada says chivalry. Chivalry is something where, chivalry actually is thing where you don't turn your back at any cost. Next, Teja. Tejas we say, no? Effulgence or whatever.
Effulgence and
Effulgence we say, right? Teja means somebody is having that Tejas we say, no? Power, yeah. Prabhupada says influence. Tejas is not just power. It's not brightness. It is Tejas is bright. Usually it is said for, they say for power, strength. But power, basically power, not strength, but power. Teja is power, but it is actually influence, Prabhupada says. Because in the power, we only if we have the influence that Tejas has meaning. See how nicely Prabhupada is relating to the root of it, root meaning of it. Now, Balam is an interesting word. It comes twice in this list. Balam is the only word that comes twice in this list, and both the time you will go wrong for sure. So, what is Balam? We all know, right? Strength. Any other word somebody wants to guess?
Spiritual strength.
Spiritual strength. Any other? Power. Okay. This is real balam, to render possible that which is impossible. Otherwise, I will have a lot of strength. But if I don't do anything properly out of it, make something, I may have a lot of strength and I'll just carry one small glass of water. That is not balam. But if I carry something which I cannot normally possible to do, that is real balam. Isn't it? That's when you will be able to, you will be called as someone balavan. Right? Okay, next, Smriti.
Remembrance.
Remembrance. This is a beautiful thing. Smriti means to find one's proper duty. Smriti also means, not just remembrance of Krishna, even like Smriti, Shruti, that our Shastras, they are also called Smriti. If you are studying Smriti, or if you remember, you meditate, you contemplate, that is also Smaran, Chintan, right? So Smriti means we have to find out our proper duty. When we look into these scriptures, we contemplate on it. What is my duty here? What should I do with this? That is what finding out proper duties. Okay. Can we move on?
Yes, Prabhu.
Swatantriyam.
Independence.
Independence. Freedom. Okay.
Freedom. Yeah, closely.
See, putting it in a flipping it, actually Prabhupada gives a different meaning, actually the deeper meaning of it. I can say simply I'm independent, but then I will be dependent on so many people for right from buying milk to all the way from early morning to all the way to the night. I'm dependent on so many people. But real swatantra means when we don't depend on others for any of our needs. Simply, I can't say I'm independent. People are saying freedom, independent, and so on. But in reality, we are dependent on so many people for even small things. So that is real swatantra, not to depend on others. Okay. Kaushalam is normally expert, ability, expertise. Prabhupada says dexterity in all activities. Okay. Next is Kanti. Kanti means effulgence. Again, they say Kanti is effulgence. It's actually beauty. Prabhupada says Kanti is beauty. Radha Kanta Namastute, you say, no, Kanti. Dhairyam.
Patience.
Patience. What else?
Boldness.
Dhira. Dhirata is soberity, no? Dhairyam.
Sober.
Soberity. Dhairyam is not bravery.
Freedom.
Simply I say, I am sober, but I will be disturbed always. So freedom from disturbance is real dhairyam. I don't know how much Prabhupada would have thought over to put these things together, Prabhus and Matajis. Just for 5 verses, 40 qualities. Mardavam. He said Mardavam, Hri, Rachapalam. Mardavam usually is
Simplicity.
called gentleness, gentility, like that. It's usually grace, like that. Kind-hearted. Mardavam is not simply being graceful, being gentle, but gentility should translate into kind-heartedness. You have to be kind heart with everybody. Softness. And softness means kind heart. Okay. Shall we move on?
Yes, bro.
Pragalbyam. It's actually the galbyam is glib, one who is very expert or glib tongue we say galbyam. That's why it's the word glib, smooth. It came from there. Ingenuity. Prabhupada says one who is genius. Ingenuity. One who is having all novel this thing. Then prashraya. Usually prashraya is used for, I think, shyness. Gentility. Okay. And then Sheelam.
Character.
Character. Prabhupada says mannerliness. We have to behave we have good manners, we say, no? So mannerliness. Sahaha is again, it's like tolerance, right?
Yeah, Sahana.
Prabhupada says determination. Means we have to be determined to tolerate. First of all, for tolerance, we need determination. Without determination, tolerance will not work. We have to be determined to not be agitated. Okay. And Teja, Oja is, Teja and Oja is all both similar words. So for Oja, we say perfect knowledge, Prabhupada says. Now, next, I told you, Balam twice it comes. The first time it came to render possible that which is impossible. Now, we see what is the next Balam. Already we guessed, we may not guess once more. See, Prabhupada what he is saying. Here also he doesn't say strength. He says proper execution. He may have the strength, but unless and until it is properly executed, that strength has no meaning. That's what Prabhupada is trying to reveal here. First thing is you render with possible that which is impossible. Then we properly execute it. Means in proper consciousness for the pleasure of Krishna as his instrument. This is real Balam. Okay. Then Bhagaha. Bhaga means we say the different opulence, no?
Yeah.
Prabhupada says object of enjoyment. That is real Bhagya. Bhagya we say, no? That is fortune. This is really, when it's not enough to have the fortune, but we have to enjoy it also. Right? I will have all the wealth in my bank, but I'm not even I'm able to use it. I'm so busy that I'm not even having sleep. I will have the best cots and beds in my bedroom, but I won't even have proper sleep. Whereas someone on the street will be lying down on the street, but he will have such a nice sleep. So real object of enjoyment, real bhagya is object. We have the proper object of enjoyment. We should enjoy it properly, even if we have that object. Okay, Gambhiryata. Gambhirya and Dhairya are kind of similar. Gambhiryam.
Serious.
Sorry?
Seriousness.
Yeah. Prabhupada says Gambhiryam is joyfulness. One who is really Gambhira is actually joyful. Really joyful. One who is with Bhagavatam, he should be cheerful. One who is in Krishna's service, he should show cheerfulness and joyfulness. Otherwise, this Gambhiryata is no. Gambhiryata does not mean I stand straight, doesn't even open my mouth and doesn't even smile at others. Gambhiryata is when we smile at everybody without any discrimination. That is real Gambhiryata. We love everybody because we see everybody as Krishna's person, Krishna's part and parcel. That's when we are able to see equanimous, see this thing. Stairyam, sthirata.
Something to do with situated.
Fixed, no?
Hmm.
Purpose is immovability. Once you get into Krishna consciousness, you should not be able to move. That is real stairyam. Stairyam, Atma Vinigraha comes in Bhagavad Gita, no? Okay, Astikyam.
Astikyam.
Astika, Nastika, Astika means Astika is someone who has faith in Krishna, no? Faith in God. Right? Prabhupada says faithfulness. After a long time, one tick mark.
Yes, we got one right again.
Kirti, fame.
Fame.
Okay, one more tick mark. Manaha, respect, no?
Mana, respect.
Not mana, it's manaha. Manaha is respect, no? Manyata. See what Prabhupada is saying? Worthy of being worshipped. That is the real manata. When we really do devotional service properly, then others automatically offer their manata. No, amanina manadena. No, that manadena. When we really have the devotional quality, then others will give that. They will give respect. We deserve and we qualify ourselves to be worthy of being worshipped by being Krishna's servant. I mean, undeviated, unflinching servant. That is the real manata. Anahankriti means ahankar is ego. Anahankar means without ego. Correct?
Pridelessness.
Sorry?
Pridelessness.
Pridelessness.
Humility.
Oh, okay. Who is that? Who said that pridelessness?
I said that, Prabhu.
Shamcharan Prabhu. Okay. So Prabhu, we have all been trying to put this goal, but you know how much we scored against Prabhupada, we don't know. Sumit, you have the count?
Yes, I do, Prabhuji. So what's the total out of?
40.
39, I think it should be.
Okay. Well, we have, I don't know if I've calculated right, but it looks like we've got 30 incorrect.
No, 39 it should be.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so we have, 31 incorrect and then 8 correct answers.
Wow. So Prabhus and Matajis, did you like, did you now see how much Prabhupada would have put his heart and soul into these writings? We have only gone up to, so last couple of weeks we meditated on the shlokas. Now we have come up to the synonyms, word for word meanings. Any questions? Prabhupada wins always, as always, yeah. Any questions? Any reflections?
Reflection is simple, Prabhu. We just read Prabhupada books. stick to Prabhupada books. That's the bottom line. That's
yeah.
Sorry, someone was about to say something.
Yeah,
I'll stop here and we will hear from devotees. I think good time to stop. There are many more things to cover. Maybe we'll take it for the session, but we can understand and appreciate how much Prabhupada put his heart and soul. There are many such places like this where Prabhupada does his magic. I will tell you one more place. You can do it as your homework. Go to 2.4.20. Bhagavatam 2.4.20. Okay, in that 7 or 8 different ways the word pati is used, and for each of the Yajnapati, Prajapati, in that each pati Prabhupada will give different meanings: master, controller, dictator, lord, superior, like that. Different words he will use. And then there's another verse, beautiful verse also, Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Paramakaha, Vasudeva Parakriya. In that para word is used in 8 places, 8 times, and for each para, Prabhupada will give different meanings. Why should Prabhupada spend all his time to mind and this thing to squeeze his mind to get these different meanings for each of these words? Did he not have any other time, any other pastime to do? Because he had so much to give. And we have to appreciate Prabhupada through these beautiful samples, Every time, just spend enough time to go through Prabhupada's word for word and see what exactly Prabhupada would have thought about putting these things in place. So many, hundreds and thousands of examples are there. Every verse you take, at least minimum 7, 8 different places where Prabhupada will do his magic. In the word for word meaning, I'm telling you. Anybody wants to say, Akila Mataji, you wanted to say something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
So this is an example of Krishna speaking through Prabhupada.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
That kind of realization doesn't come to an ordinary person.
Yeah. Because, many times we hear Prabhupada saying, I am not writing this, Krishna is writing this. We take it very superficially, but just by seeing this particular magic, we can open challenge to the whole world. Ask any one greatest Sanskrit scholar also, bring them, ask them to write like this. Ask them to bring out meanings like this. Balam means to render possible that which is impossible. Prabhupada could have easily copy-pasted that into the second balam. Isn't it? Don't we do that? We take copy-paste, no? We are usually do that, copy from here and paste it there. And para, each of this, he could have used the same word every time. Pati also. Why Prabhupada is not doing that? Because he's thoroughly honest. He says, thoroughly honest people will appreciate it. Because he gave it thoroughly honest. We should also be thoroughly honest to Prabhupada's books to appreciate it. Isn't it?
So Krishna's chosen Prabhupada to give us this magic through him.
Yeah, obviously. He is the chosen person, chosen soul, chosen great Mahatma. And we are so glad, we are so fortunate to be under his shelter. Let the whole world go to hell. We be at shelter of Prabhupada. We distribute Prabhupada's books so much, thousands and thousands of books we are distributing. This one set of verses, one full day, 1.5 hours, this is our investment in our devotional service, Prabhus and Matajis. Whatever else we are doing is expenditure, but this is our investment and this will last forever. This is our asset, real asset in devotional service. Any questions? Any other comments, reflections, devotees? Or you have your thoughts?
We want to thank you for pure nectar.
Thank you, Mataji. And there's one other place I remember. This Kutumba word is there, no? Kutumbam, we say, Vasudeva Kutumbakam, Kutumba. What is the normal meaning for that word?
Family.
Family, obviously, isn't it? But in the Bhishmadeva prayers, there is one verse, Vijaya Ratha Kutumba Atatotre. Kutumba Atatotre. In that, Prabhupada would have given the most unthinkable, unimaginable meaning to that, and that is the actual meaning for Kutumba. You know what you say? Object of protection at all risks. Object of protection at all. Isn't that what we supposed to be when we say, I am the head of the Kutumba, head of the family? He's supposed to be the protect. All of the dependents are the objects of protection at all risks. That's the reason people risk their life to go and earn, go for the job, go for sing so many things, isn't it? And Krishna was the Kutumba Atatotre. Krishna was protecting as the charioteer of Arjuna. As object of protection at all risks. He was protecting Arjuna at his own risk of even taking the weapon in his hand. That's why it is turned there. And that is the same thing when you extend it to Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This whole world is Krishna's Kutumba. What does that mean? Everybody should be protected at our own risk. We have to risk ourselves to bring take someone from their material absorption and bring them to Krishna consciousness. That is the real thing of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And simply I say, oh, we welcome everybody, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That is very superficial. When you use this meaning of Prabhupada, object of protection at all risk, that gives the real essence of what his family mean.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes,
sorry
Mataji.
to intervene at this point, but
No. I'm done. Just,
yeah,
yes.
what I feel on my, I may be incorrect and forgive me, but I think Bhakti Charu is an example that his, disappearance at this point is what has brought, it's gone back to where we should be.
Yes, Mataji. Obviously, in those 39 qualities, no, what Maharaj did goes to that tapa, trueness to one's responsibility. That's exactly what Maharaj said in Ujjain class before going to the US. That I should, as a leader, I should be standing in the front. I should not stand behind. It's sad that we lost him, but the lesson that Maharaj had taught us through that personal example is for all of us to follow. And as you said rightly, this is a big shake to our movement because such a great leader has left our vision, but he has left with us so much to carry on.
He's
And
united us because
yes,
everybody is reflecting.
That's a true quality of a Vaishnava. Even while leaving, he will unite. Prabhupada, when he left, he united the movement. Now we are all united by remembering him, by following him. That's the same thing goes with everybody, all great souls. Thank you, Mataji, for connecting that point with the His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj.
Haribol.
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Any other questions, reflections?
Prabhuji, I just want to share one thing. Sorry,
Yes,
Mataji,
please,
carry on.
please.
A lot of the time I was struggling with myself, saying that he made a wrong decision. How could he take such a decision? How could Ujjain devotees let him go? And, of course, everybody says that's Krishna's desire, Krishna's call. But I had to fight with myself to come to this realization that there was a bigger calling because the movement, the ISKCON movement, there are problems in many places. And this kind of sacrifice is bringing Krishna consciousness to, work together.
Yeah. Beautiful realization, Mataji. This goes very well with why Parikshit Maharaj left his body too. He could have easily counteracted that curse. Because he was protected by Krishna in his womb. Why would Krishna protect him in this Brahmana's curse? It's a simple thing. Much more powerful thing. Brahmastra he saved. But what Parikshit Maharaj saw in that curse is the most notable thing we should meditate and take it as a lesson for us. He could have lived for another 100 years and saved because everybody was enjoying his association, enjoying his rule, his management. But what he said, I have to go one day, and Kali has to come anyway one day. But I have to choose. I have to take this path so that by me going now and showing people how to go, how to leave this world, I can set the pattern for the rest of hundreds of generations to follow. And that's how those 7 days he studied Bhagavatam. And now 5,000 years later, we are enjoying Bhagavatam. That's because of that one sacrifice. He did not think about only the 100 years people that he was going to rule over. He was thinking about people even after he leaves, how they can come to Krishna consciousness. That is what Prabhupada did. That is what every single follower of Prabhupada are also doing. When my spiritual master left also, he gave us clear instruction that you please stick to Bhagavatam. As long as you stick to Bhagavatam, you will see me always next to you. And that's the same thing that Bhakti Charu Maharaj also has shown us, that he is leaving now. He would have left anyway at some point in our lives. Any form of living is going to feel, we are going to feel bad. But the thing is, by leaving, he has kept himself in all our hearts for years and decades and centuries to come. That is more important. His books will live forever. His contributions will live forever because he's a true soldier of Prabhupada. Isn't it? So thank you, Mataji, for that beautiful connection with realization. Somebody else was also going to say something, I think, when Mataji was speaking.
It was myself. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I was remembering beloved Mahavishnu Swami Maharaj Gujarati. Harina Maharaj che shurano nahi kayar no kam.
Yes, Mataji. Harino Maragache, Shurono, Kami Nati, Nai, Kairno Kam Jone, Matak Muke Pahelo, Valta Nam Levi Jone. Means this path, you please explain, Mataji. You are Gujarati, you should be explaining it.
No, you explain Prabhuji from Mahavishnu Maharaj's mouth. Yeah, you are his such a wonderful representative.
You know, the thing is, this path of bhakti is only for courageous people, brave people, not for cowards. You know why? Because in this path is so clear, so perfect that you have to cut off your head, throw it in the path, and then walk on it. In other words, without giving up our ego, we cannot progress further in devotional service. Mattak muke pahelo means first you have to cut off your head, throw it in that path, and then you should walk. Valta Nam Levi. Nam Levi means take the chanting. So it's a very, what do you call, very foolproof process, very powerful process, but we don't have to be worried about it. We don't get concerned, oh, what will happen? No, Krishna lovingly catches us with our little finger, and he, like a loving father, he is carrying us along. Even if Krishna is not so loving, Prabhupada is really loving. His sincere followers are so very loving to us. By living, they are still living in their sound, right? Though art live in their sound, right? So they live in the sound, in their Vani form. That's how we are living our life with the last 10 years of separation from our spiritual master. And we have to continue living, isn't it? But this is a way we have to give Krishna to others. Otherwise, this is of no use what we are taken up.
He showed that fearlessness, you know, in terms of this virus. It is so virulent, but Maharaj is totally fearless. Bhakti Maharaj.
Totally fearless, yeah. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
There are a couple of comments. So thank you very much for your wonderful tips for reading Srila Prabhupada books, and thank you for sharing your valuable time. And there's another one, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. You are an asset to Srila Prabhupada's family and are so merciful and kind to us to share those most valuable instructions on understanding the most precious books of Srila Prabhupada. Really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhus and Matajis. It is a pleasure to share whatever we got from our teachers, you know, in Prabhupada and sincere followers. Because Prabhupada's books is the real magic, really. And all other magics are subservient to that. Because he has given this magic which works even in his absence. Normally, a magician does a magic in his presence only it will work, isn't it? But Prabhupada's magic is such that in his absence also, after many centuries also, it will continue to work. It's automatic magic.
A true magician.
True magician, yeah.
Magician who lives eternally.
Yeah. So nice, really. I'm really, glad that I have all your association and in doing this service, whatever we can. I am also getting blessed by Prabhupada's books and all your nice sangha. There's so much to cover, really. And that too, it's like I'm still licking the outer bottle of the honey. I'm still not really enjoying it fully. So please bless that, we can continue this on. And maybe if you have any further questions or anything, you can always take it up later. Next week session, one thing that really we want to do, one exercise is the question answer study. Bhagavatam is in the form of questions and answers, right? So I was telling Governor Raj Prabhu also the other day that, we have so many questions, like about 360 odd questions are there in the entire Bhagavatam. We can take the questions and we can find the answers. In that, finding the answers, we will find a lot of nice taste coming out of it, So it is really a wonderful exercise, and I hope we can get there at some point in the next week. It's a long exercise. I will just show one sample of one particular question, and in that question also one subdivision of the answer. Okay. If we have to exhaust the answer for the entire question, it will take minimum 6 to 8 months to do that service. But I don't want to get into that thing. I will just do one sample and I will leave you all to do the rest of the things on your own. Maybe that we will try to cover next week, and then we will, and if possible, we will spend a little time to also do some tips on group study, how we can do some little tips based on my personal experience. Of course, it's much more than that. Whatever appeals to you will help. If time permits, we can do that as well. Okay.
Okay, so thank you. So Prabhu, thank you so much, Kalachakra Krishna Prabhu, for your time and for giving your association, for sharing your realization. And so today's class is really like, teaches us that there is we need not to go anywhere. We have Prabhupada has given everything. Just stick to Prabhupada. He had put so much effort, and Meenakshi Mataji was telling that that these realizations were actually given by Krishna. So let us take this opportunity to read Prabhupada books carefully, scrutinizingly study each and every page of Prabhupada books. So that's the essence. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Just a couple of announcements for everyone. Devotees are kept on asking if they can find these lectures anywhere. Just for your information, all these lectures are available on ISKCON Manchester YouTube. If you go to YouTube and just type in ISKCON Manchester, and the channel will come, and you'll be able to find the title of the seminar is the Transcendental Lamp of Srimad Bhagavatam, and it is marked as part 1, part 2, like that. So you can find all the lectures, all the classes by Prabhuji on ISKCON Manchester YouTube. And secondly, tomorrow, the next session will be our last session. That's next Saturday at same time. For Manchester devotees, there is a Sunday feast lecture by His Grace Murli Manohar Prabhu, who is the head Pujari of Soho temple. He will be talking on deity worship at home. This will be part 2 of the seminar. So that will be 1 o'clock tomorrow. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for this.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat.